This is John Jackson Miller, and you're listening to the Star Wars Canon Podcast. May the Force be with you.
Star Wars Celebration tickets went on sale with some backlash this week. Maul Shadow Lord has wrapped. Hot Toys has made a questionable figure, and we're taking your mailbag questions. The date is May 9th, 2026, and you're listening to episode 87 of the Star Wars Canon Podcast.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Star Wars Canon Podcast. I am your host, Brian Miller, and I'm so glad you've decided to join me to talk about our favorite thing in the world, yet again, Star Wars. And I'm telling you what, if my camera freezes up one more time, I'm probably going to lose my collective crap. I'm just saying. So I have a couple technical issues right now. No, don't Brian me. Don't you Brian me.
Brian.
Don't you Brian me.
Oh, there we go. It worked.
It worked?
I was going to say, it froze.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Oh, so anyway, thank you guys for joining. Welcome to episode 87 of the Star Wars Canon Podcast. For this episode, I am joined by two of my good friends. You know both of them. First off, we'll start with the Grumpy Jedi this time. Nick Albers. What is going on in your neck of the woods, Nick?
Well, Brian. Well, JG. May the 4th has passed with, as you mentioned, some backlash because of the celebration tickets, but we did get arguably probably the best Star Wars content in animation since season 7 of the Clone Wars. So I'm looking forward to talking about all things Star Wars today.
Heck yeah. I won't disagree with you on that animation comment either. That's pretty close to the mark, kid. Also joining us from the great state of Pennsylvania from last week. You guys know him and love him. It is JG Cars. How you doing tonight, man?
I feel like I've lived a whole life this week. I've seen part of a new Star Wars movie. I've seen new Star Wars television. I've had health stuff come up. It has been one heck of a week. Plus celebration on top of all of it. But I'm very excited to be here and to talk about it because I love talking about Star Wars.
It's definitely been a week to be a Star Wars fan. That's to say the absolute least. Before we get going, I just want to say real quick, none of us have ever met in person, so we are all in different parts of the country right now. So if we have some technical difficulties, please forgive us. Whoever we drop, we'll try to get back. And like I said a couple episodes before, I don't like to leave a man behind, but if we have to, oh man, I don't want to, but the show must go on. So let's just jump right into it. Before we, I shouldn't say just jump right into it, because before we jump into it, I want to talk about the last couple episodes of the podcast real quick. So last week, 2 weeks ago, JG, Yusuf, and myself sat down and did episode 85. It was our comeback episode of the Star Wars Canon Podcast, and you guys surprised us over the next week with 70,000 views on that episode. When we recorded, it was at like 50,000. By the time that episode came out, it was at 70,000, which was mind-blowing. And this past week, we released episode 86, and you guys made it even more successful than that episode with a whopping 71,000 views so far. And we're recording this on Thursday night, so we hit 71,000 about the same time the last one hit 50,000. So you guys are blowing our minds with these views. This is insane. Cannot thank you guys enough for the success you guys are giving us and the good vibes you guys are sending. All the comments you guys are sending on the website are just so positive. It's so cool. I actually cracked a grin sitting and reading comments today. So it was pretty cool. Almost shed a tear. Even with everything going on, I almost shed a tear. So I just want to thank everybody out there for making this show, especially the comeback episodes, a huge success. And you know what? Let's just see. Let's push our luck. Let's see how if we can do it 3 in a row. Let's just find out. So we got a few things to talk about this week, And I mean, like JG said, there is no shortage of Star Wars topics. Be sure to follow us on Facebook. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. The links for those are in the description below. Make sure to like and subscribe to the show. And if you guys like what you're seeing, let us know. Go to our website. Let us know if you guys like what you're seeing. It is StarWarsCanon.net. So without further ado, let's get on with some of our topics. I figured we would start with something easy before we get to the really controversial stuff. Let's talk about some Maul Shadow Lord. I promised you guys last week that this week I would be caught up, and I am. Kirsty and I finished the finale 2 nights ago. I'm going to start with JG, because I know where Nick and I kind of stay. He and I are pretty close in opinion. I'm still going to want to hear what Nick has to say, but I want to hear what JG has to say about this show before we really, get into the discussion of it. So, what were your thoughts on it? What did you think of the finale? Let's go full spoilers. I don't even care. Everybody's had a chance to watch it. Let's just talk some Maul.
Absolutely. This is hands down the best Star Wars animation that's out there. Some of the best Star Wars television that's out there, and some of the best Star Wars in general. It is just insane what they were able to pull off, telling a very cohesive story without what some people call filler. And there is a place and room for filler, but this story being as tight as it was, giving us a full, robust cast of characters, making us care for every single one, so that when we get to these final 2 episodes and when the bodies hit the ground, we care and we're invested, and it's more than just Maul and Devin. And for them to pull off the whole reveal of Vader and to actually make it work, and for it to not feel like a gimmick and not cheap, and to be like, oh yeah, we've seen this before. This makes sense that he's going to show up. And I think it sets up for some really exciting storytelling. I'm very pleased and very satisfied. I think they've proven that they can continue to raise the bar, which makes me really excited for season 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Did we lose Nick?
We might have.
Oh no, I know I popped out for a second there too.
I'm here.
You're here? Okay, your camera's not working.
I'm here.
So
Can
we
you
still
hear
got
me?
Nick. Like I said, might have some technical difficulties. So yeah, no, absolutely. That finale was, the thing I like the most about what Dave Filoni does, and some of the things that he's talked about, is they don't create characters for certain things. They look at the characters that they have that they can play with, and if it makes sense for them to insert them into said story, they do it. And in this case, it worked beautifully, which I think was honestly the setup the whole time for the whole show, was to lead up to that fight. That was the whole point. But Nick, what did you think of Maul, man?
So I said it last week when the show initially came out, or they were announcing we're making a Maul show. I'm like, cool, great. He's a good character, but we've hit everything. Is there really anything we need to talk about? And it got better and better as the show went on. And I said it before last week, and I'll say it again. This is what the Acolyte should have been. I have my issues with the Acolyte, but to me, this goes to show you why Filoni got promoted to the head of Lucasfilm story, be the president of Lucasfilm and the head of storytelling, in my opinion. And I'll say it again, money grab for money grab, fan service for fan service. That was straight up fan service. And I'm not usually a fan of fan service, but good God, they knocked it out of the park with the whole Maul and Vader, fight scene. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait for season 2.
I completely agree. When Kirsten and I were watching it, there was that little tease right before Vader shows up, when they're like, "Oh, he's heading." Let him know they're heading his way, and I was like, I think, because honest to God, my brain went to Grand Inquisitor, because the levels, usually whenever an Inquisitor has trouble with a Jedi, Grand Inquisitor shows up, and then eventually Vader does show up, and we still had a whole nother episode, before the end, and so I was like, oh my gosh, Grand Inquisitor is about to show up, and the moment Rook went down and got dragged into the fog, and you hear that, I looked over at my wife, and her jaw was on the ground, and I was like, "No way, this is about to happen." We've been wanting Maul versus Vader ever since I was knee high. Since I was a youngling, I've wanted Darth Maul for 27 years. We've wanted Darth Maul versus Darth Vader, and we finally got it. No, I think the whole show, not just the finale, I think the whole show was great. It was a great lead up. We learned a lot about. Actually, we learned a lot about Maul, honestly. I really enjoyed these two Jedi that, for some reason, every single Jedi now has survived Order 66 to some degree. But I really, really enjoyed those two Jedi, Devin, and I cannot, for the life of me, pronounce the master's name.
Iodiodaki.
Okay, that's perfect. And so Uncle Docky, we'll just call him Uncle Docky.
There you go.
And so no, I really enjoyed them, and then I should have known. After reading High Republic, as soon as I was like, I really like these two Jedi, I should have known where Uncle Docky was going to end up.
One of my friends who I also podcast with, Eric, he mentioned that Docky is very Loden Greatstorm like, and I was like, ooh,
Yes.
that is exactly right. Like very wise and centered.
He
also really
was my
great with the
favorite Jedi in High Republic.
Oh, for sure.
By far. And yeah, you're absolutely right. He had those vibes. But yeah, no, this whole fight, this whole connection with Dryden Voss, I know Kirsty is my wife loves Solo. She loved Solo, a Star Wars story. She thought that was just like one of the greatest movies ever. And so, but she really was into like the whole crime syndicate thing with Crimson Dawn and with Kira and everything. And so like, as I've been reading the comics for like War of the Bounty Hunters and Crimson Reign and stuff, I've been keeping her up to date. Like, this is what's going on with Kira. This is kind of what's going on with Lady Kira. This is where she's at. And when she pops up in, Outlaws, I was like, holy crap, that's Kira. That's Lady Kira. And so as soon as the episode ended, she was like, this has got a season 2, right? And I said, yes. And she said, what if they skipped ahead, so many years, and then now we get like the Solo era, and he's got Darth Talon as an apprentice. Maybe they're on Dathomir and he's training her. And then Kira, like, we'll see that conversation from Solo from Maul's end. Like, Kira will radio in and say, I regret to inform you Dryden Voss has been killed by the very, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I would not put that past them at all, especially considering how they overlapped Order 66 with Clone Wars and everything. And so I think season 2's got a lot of potential coming out of this. I really, really, really enjoyed it a lot.
I see that definitely down the road for sure. I see that more as a season 3 because I think season 2 will be more about actually taking over Crimson or Crimson Dawn. We still have the big boss to take out, and they did show us.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
With this show, they like to be very intentional and slow. Like a lot of us predicted that Devin would turn by like episode 2 or 3. We didn't get that till the last 10 seconds of this season. So I don't expect us to like open up with him like already taking out the boss. I think that is the mission and the theme for season 2 is let's take out the leader, put Dryden Voss, and we'll find out why Dryden is the face, but in the shadows, Maul is actually the leader.
I'm also kind of confused as to like Dryden is wanting Maul to be in charge and to be the one he answers to. But then in Solo, you see Dryden Voss, and he's almost afraid to talk about Maul. And he's like, you know who I answer to. He's going to want answers, And so I
took it more that Dryden, in this situation, I took it more that Dryden wants the power. I think something happens where Maul gets one over him.
Oh, that
and
could
as
be.
a result of all this, is actually the one that's in charge. He's like, oh, no, you could be in charge. You could be like the face and everything. Like, kind of like the whole Palpatine of it all, if you would.
Yeah, because he did say, we'll take him out, and then you install me as the head in charge. And so, no, I think you're right. Man, I love this show so much. I saw that it's been rated the #1 Star Wars show so far. Was that based off Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah.
Of course it was. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I won't get on that soapbox again this week. Go watch 2 episodes ago if you want to see that soapbox.
So this is what I will say about Devin. Like, and me and Brian were actually talking about this a few days ago about, because I was finally putting 2 and 2 together. It's like, I really think Filoni is taking the pieces from what was supposed to be Lucas's version of 7, 8, and 9 and trying to interject those pieces. And that's why we have Devin, who is a Twi'lek, who, if you look at some of the early concept art for Darth Talon in episode 7, she looks very similar. And I love it. I love the fact we're going down that route. And the thing is, what I really love about Devin's character and story arc, because everybody was like, oh, yeah, she's going to turn bad. It's going to happen right away. And like you said, it wasn't until the very, very end. And in reality, you almost understand and appreciate Devin turning to the dark side more than I would say Anakin turning to the dark side.
Well, it made sense because you were following the journey with her basically and seeing, you know, he was twisting her mind a little bit here and there. And it started off as, well, maybe he's right. You know, maybe we should help him. And then it was full on allies. And then it was, as soon as Master gets killed, it was the rage came. And when Vader knocked, was it Vader or the Inquisitor that knocked that saber out of her hand? I think it was Merrick, wasn't it? When Maul comes up and he just holds his saber out and she takes it and just, I was like, here we go. It's exactly what they're going towards, is they're moving towards this Darth Talon thing. They're doing the same thing they kind of did with Thrawn. So we talked about Thrawn a couple weeks ago, how we thought he was kind of out of place when they first put him in Rebels, but now it's kind of grown to where it fit perfectly. And he's going to be, you know, hopefully this big baddie with the remnant and everything. So I feel like, obviously, this is much further displaced than what Thrawn was from his original place in Legends. But I really like where they're going with it. I think there's a lot of story there to tell. I think Maul is and my wife told me, Maul is one of the most compelling characters that she has seen in Star Wars, because there's so many layers to him. He's like an ogre. I think we talked about that last week. But there's so much to him, and you keep learning more and more and more about him. I mean, obviously we know where he meets his end, you know, but when you see him just sitting there and he's just drinking tea, like he's in Japan, it's just like a feudal Japan, just having tea. It's like, is this the Maul? Because you start to buy into what he says. He's like, well, you think I'm evil because you've been told I'm evil. And then us as the audience is like, wait, maybe he's not evil, you know? And so it's interesting, because I think the whole thing was meant to be from Devin's point of view for us to kind of go through it with her.
So I'll actually say this. Even, and I mentioned this last week, we knew Maul is the epitome, the face of evil when he showed up in episode 1 and everything. But you know, especially this series, you see why he became that way through some of the flashbacks and all that. I will say, if you know, because George Lucas and Dave Filoni said there is no such thing as a gray Jedi, gray Force user.
We don't talk about that on this show, Nick.
That said, if there is such a version of a gray Force user, it has to be Maul. It's to me, looking at it, because he's not. I look at it, and he'll save the protagonist when he needs to.
Yeah.
But he'll also dispose of him when.
So he's basically Chopper.
Yes.
Maul is basically Chopper.
Chopper and K2SO.
Oh my gosh. Chopper's that droid. If you're hanging off a cliff, you don't know if he's going to help you up or just knock you off the rest of the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I had a thought while you were saying all that, and I forget what it was.
I look at it more that it's a lot of the things that he does, even if they come off, even in these final 2 episodes, there was people saying like, oh, look at him, he's kind of righteous, or oh, look at him, he has like merit or whatever, etc., etc. And it's like, you do realize he's doing this from the selfishness of his heart. He's doing this from the self-preservation of his heart. Like, he isn't there. I don't see the gray. He is, for all intents and purposes, evil, selfish, and doing things out of anger, out of revenge. Granted, he does want to, as we discover in episode 8, that he wants to kill Sidious because of the fact that he wants to make sure that what happened to him, it doesn't happen to anybody else. Which is like, sure, that's great and dandy, but like he's doing it like the wrong way for all intents and purposes.
I like the Savage Press cameo, kind of flashback stuff too, when they were children, and Sidious taking Maul. I think that was pretty cool. When Maul was practicing the forms, am I crazy, or did he go through all 7 forms of the lightsaber fight?
That's
I think
above my knowledge.
above your pay grade, because I was sitting there watching it and I was like, I think he just went through all 7 forms, and if he knows all 7, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. So I'm digging the show. I love it so much. I love the art style to it too. That kind of like paint stroke, because my wife's an artist. She's big into like painting and stuff like that. And there's scenes where you can see the fog rolling and it's just brush strokes that are PNGs basically that are just rotating as they, and I was like, that is beautiful. That is such a cool filter to put over the Clone Wars animation.
Yep, they use like real map paintings that are in the backgrounds and such and filmed it. They talk about like the vision sequence and such. They actually used footage where they projected images onto like fog and mist and such, and then animated it and put that in there. So there was actually real like footage and such. Wow. They also made real models of Rena's ship as well. So a lot of the stuff was very practical.
They went all out on that.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Lucasfilm Animation, like that's the thing. Like
they're unparalleled.
They stepped it up and really improved like the lighting and the weather and such in Bad Batch. But now they took it a step further and now added this really artistry flavor to it, and it's exciting.
And I think every time they come out with a new project, because I think they've basically landed on that base Clone Wars modeling for their anime, which is great. That's perfect. It works beautifully. Rebels was, I get it, it's kind of stylized. I don't know what they were doing with Resistance, but with Clone Wars, that seems to be the animation style that kind of sticks. And every single thing that comes out, it just keeps getting better and better and better. Better rendering, better lighting effects, better everything. Because like Tales of the Jedi, when they came out, it was like, oh, that looks really good. And then what was it? Tales of the Underworld. It was like, holy crap. And then it was Tales of the Empire. And you're like, geez, holy cow. Yeah. And like you said, Bad Batch with the raindrops hitting, and everything. Yeah. I mean, it was, and the lighting and the lightning and stuff like that. And then this, and then they just put this like extra art filter over it to make it, chef's kiss.
Resistance was out of house. So in its defense, it was out of house. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
I don't remember which animation did it, but it's definitely out of house. But I think they were going at that point, like in the late teens and such. There was like that really big resurgence, and still is now, of like anime style, like Japanese animation. Yeah. So I think they were trying to dive into
capitalize on that.
It didn't quite nail, I think, as they were hoping it would.
Yeah, it was that weird like 2D, 3D, like Borderlands kind of.
I will say it does work for the like the flying sequences and everything.
Oh yeah, by all means.
That is where it is really good.
But when you start getting into like human faces and stuff, it's like
it lacks
a little weird. Yeah. And then Rebels was its own thing. I mean, the animation style for Rebels worked with Rebels because of what it was.
I think Rebels was going more off of kind of stylizing. I think it's because it was the first thing under like Disney and all that. But I think also maybe they were trying to stylize like the Ralph McQuarrie art.
Yes.
And kind of go along that and kind of go for more like a Disney audience, but then obviously it matured, and like season 4 is gorgeous.
And even that animation got better with each season as it went. You can see the definitive.
It's not hard when you start with the Wookiees of episode 1.
Oh god, what an abomination. But yeah, no, I dig Maul Shadow Lord so much. I cannot wait for another season of this. I think this is a great addition to the canon. I think this is the story that, like when Solo came out, a lot of people were like, we didn't ask for that story. We didn't really need that story because we already knew it. We didn't have to see it. We already knew Han made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, if you round down or whatever he said, and everything. But this is a story. This is a very compelling story, and so it was a lot of fun going through this, and it was a heck of a ride. We binged the last, how many episodes would that have been? We had 3 down, and we binged what? It was 10 episodes. We binged 7 episodes, back to back to back to back to back. We couldn't stop because one and each one was like next, next, like, and then it was, and then when you hear that, we just looked at each other and was like, yep, just hit play. You didn't even think anything of it. So anyway, Maul Shadow Lord is out. Guys, let us know in the comments below. What did you think of the series? Go ahead and talk spoilers. I don't care. It's fine. Everybody has had a chance to see it at this point. Even if I hadn't caught up, I was gonna let these guys talk spoilers because it would have been on me. I don't know. Honestly, I probably would have, but I got a feeling they wouldn't have, considering how it ended now.
Definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Because I remember I told everybody in the chat we're gonna watch the last couple episodes right now, and we got to Vader and I just sent like an oh my god, and Nick was like, oh yep, he saw it. He's like, this is Brian right now, and it was awesome. So. Excuse me, guys. Sorry if by the way, I'm getting over a cough, so I'm trying to turn my mic down before it hits the mic. So if it slips through, I'm genuinely sorry. Trying to get over it. So let's get on to a couple of controversial topics. Let's talk about the really, really big one first. Star Wars Celebration tickets went on sale. We're recording this on Thursday. They went on sale yesterday for us at the time of this recording. JG, did you get tickets?
I did.
You did. Nick, did you get tickets?
No.
Yeah, I don't even think Nick tried. I got tickets.
No, I didn't.
So, out of our entire crew, out of all of us, JG and I were the only two that were able to score tickets. And they weren't. Did you get a 4-day pass or did you get individual days? 4-day. 4-day. So by the time I got through my queue wait, and I watched my little white guy run that little marathon of that progress bar that everybody just seems to hate now. By the time I got to the end of it, the 4-day passes were gone.
Game for 2026.
Yeah, that's exactly. I already saw the meme of Homer Simpson sitting in the bar, and all the people had the bar. But by the time I got into the 4-day passes were gone, but I was able to get 2 of each of the day tickets. So it's solid. I think it was still a solid win. It was a little pricier than what I was expecting, but I walked away happy. I get to go. So that's cool. But man, the rollout for this is it fair to say disastrous?
I mean, it's almost disastrous every time, but this is probably up there.
This was my first experience buying Celebration tickets, by the way. So It's not normally like this.
I've heard a lot more gripes than maybe normal.
Okay. Oh yeah, no, I've seen a lot of vitriol online in the last 24 hours.
It happens every time Celebration tickets go on sale, but I think that this one has a lot more heightened emotions. This is the first one back in the States since 2022. This is the 50th, so it's a big anniversary one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of high expectations for who will be there and what will be announced, with this probably entering into a new era for the company.
Yeah.
So I think there's just a lot of heightened emotions, and there's a lot of heightened expectations and such. And so ReedPop is infamously very awful at a lot of the technical stuff, and it was on full display and full blast yesterday.
It really was, because I didn't even because even it was so like jacked up that and I even got in to get tickets. I skipped all the merch. I did just click the survey things as quick as I could just to get to the bottom just to make sure I got tickets. That was my goal, was I can get merch when I get there. I just wanted to get tickets. And so I was going through it as fast as I could. Because I could see that it was selling out fast, but I was like, man, it's got to be easier than this, because I was in the queue for, I think, an hour and 50 minutes is what I was in, and I was moving pretty good. And then when our chat would pop up, like Steven and Yusuf would be like, I haven't even moved yet, and I'm like a third of the way across, and I'm like, oh crap, okay. And then they're like, and then Yusuf was like, I'm a quarter of the way, and then for some reason Yusuf's started him all over. It like refreshed on its own or something, and he had to start all over.
That happened to some people.
And so, and I think honestly that's the reason he didn't get tickets, because by the time they sold out, he was so close to the end. Had he not refreshed, he would have. He sent me a screenshot of how far he was and how close I was like,
yeah,
you got to be kidding me, man.
There are also people getting messages that once they hit the end of their queue, that it was falsely claiming that they had like skipped the line when they very clearly didn't skip the line. So there was that error going around for people like
I didn't hear about that one.
People genuinely waiting. There was a lot of little wrinkles and such.
Huh.
And I want to put this out there because I see this rolling around the internet. Like I've seen this a lot on Twitter since I stupidly reopened that app. There's a very big impression that like YouTubers and other influencers, if you will, because some other companies roll out the red carpet for TikTokers and all that such. People like Alex and Molly Damon, for example, they are buying tickets just like you, and guess what? They could very well miss out just like you. And granted, yes, and like Molly tweeted out and said that a lot of times, they will get passes of some sort like the week before, but it is very last minute, and it's not ever a guarantee. Repop is not giving any special treatment to anyone.
Yeah.
It is the Hunger Games. Like, you are in it for yourself. Period.
May the odds ever be in your favor.
No
I
matter
even
who you
dropped that
are.
in the chat that morning too. I did. I
You
had
did.
no idea how appropriate it was going to end up being.
So,
Yeah.
This is what I will say.
Mhm.
For everybody that got their tickets, whether it's the VIP Jedi Master Package or the 4-day or whatever, and you're legitimately going, I applaud. We're not mad at you. For those who bought 20 tickets because they have a group of 5 to 10 or whatever, or 20 people going, again, I don't fault you. I want you and your friends and your groups to go. For the individuals who bought 4-day passes or individual tickets and then proceeded to start selling them on second and tertiary sites for I saw one, it was just a general 4-day pass, and I did the math. They upcharged it 2,000%. And I'm like, that's absurd. And so for you, I say this with nothing but love.
Oh, here we
and
go.
Kindness coming from.
Do I need to get a sensor ready?
You go to hell. You go
Okay.
to hell and you stay there.
Okay, that wasn't so bad. I'll see you in hell. Yeah.
That was a PG-13 version.
That was
What,
very PG-13. Let us know how you really feel in the chat, Nick. I kind of want to know. No, I already know.
we know.
Yeah, I already know. No, so go
I
ahead.
blame
BG.
Repod more than anything. And in my
Yeah,
opinion, like,
honestly.
people are gonna do it, and I think in whether you disagree with it, don't like it, whatever, find it icky, I think, in my opinion, people have that choice and right to. And the thing is
Sure.
that then at that same point, buyers then have the choice to then reject that. And guess what? More times than not, when we get to March, especially for 4-day passes and single-day passes, they're gonna go down to face value. And like when you get to like the week before, they'll be cheaper.
Yeah.
VIPs will always be like
Yeah.
double. They might drop to like face value so they can get rid of it. But again, I put the blame on Repop for maybe allowing people to buy 20 tickets. That has never happened before. That was kind of wild. That was out of nowhere and interesting. I put more on the corporation than the individual.
I could see a limit of
Now-
like 4. I could see a limit of 4 because if
Yeah.
it's like a couple and you got a couple teenagers you want to take, I could see that.
I think 10 is fair because there could be
And
some
even-
families and friends and such.
I mean, I guess if you're buying for your friends and stuff, I mean, yeah, but 20 at a time because Nick and I did the math before you dropped in, JG. It's $5,800.
Yeah.
To purchase 20 tickets, $5,800.
Think about it, if all of Canon Podcast and Significant Others would be close to 10.
Yeah, we would. We absolutely would. And that's
So-
and the other thing I was mad about too was because I didn't get a 4-day pass, I had to pay a little bit extra, for that extra day. And
Yeah.
I didn't have enough because I had thought about getting another ticket just in case we,
Mhm.
and if we didn't need it, we didn't need it. But if we, had it, you give to, and because I had to spend the little extra, I couldn't do it. And so, like I told you guys in the chat, I lost sleep last night a little bit. I lost a little bit of sleep because I was like, because last night I didn't know JG had got tickets yet. We hadn't even heard from JG yet. And so as far as I knew, me and Kirsty were the only ones that got tickets. And I was like, man, this whole trip was my idea, like to get everybody together to meet. And then I'm going to be the only one that gets to go. And I was like, man, this is such crap. And then I even told everybody, I was like, part of me doesn't even want to go now, because I was like, what the heck? I wanted to see everybody. That was the whole point, was to kind of see everybody. Like you said on the last episode, it wasn't just about going to Celebration to see the Star Wars stuff. It's to go with your friends and to celebrate everything with your friends.
Yeah.
And so we like Yusuf, man, Yusuf got the raw end of the deal on that. He really did. Getting that
Yeah.
close
Oh, yeah.
and then sold out. And I know he lost sleep too.
And I think that's an important reason that some of the US-based fans will get butthurt and upset about
Mhm.
international. That is why they do international celebrations and why they're so important, because it is easier for folks who are not in the States to then go to those ones.
Yeah.
When they go to England, when they go to Germany, when they go to Japan. It's very important for those fans to have those opportunities, and it's more for them than for us.
No, you're absolutely right. Nick, I want to bring up an idea you had that you dropped into chat that I completely agree with, the paywall idea for Celebration, because I completely agree with you on that.
So, but before we discuss that, I do want to say this for those, and JG's right, because we're coming up on the 50th anniversary of the year-long celebration. So for those who cannot go to Celebration and they're upset about it, I want you to take a deep breath and relax for a minute. And here's why. Go to your local Comic-Cons, Space Cons, things like that. I know JG's gone to Pittsburgh's version of Comic-Con and everything, whatever it's called. San Antonio has one called Space Con. And this year alone, they have the following people that are coming that are all Star Wars related. They have young Boba Fett, Daniel Logan. They have Matthew Wood. They have Amon as the live actor who played Ezra, Giancarlo Esposito. They have, old Bail Organa himself, the original Jimmy Smits coming, Ian McDermott, and Hayden Christensen. So don't feel that if you're can't make it to Celebration, you're not going to be able to, meet Star Wars people there and Star Wars fans. Go to your local cons.
It probably won't
Now
be nearly
that-
as overpriced either.
As I mentioned, because I showed a photo to the gang from 2 years ago.
So jealous.
When I got a photo of Ian McGregor
I'll throw
and
it up.
Hayden Christensen with me and my photo, me and my family and everything. And the photo op and the tickets alone, which still cheaper than what I'm pretty sure Brian paid for his pass.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the other reason why I'm saying go to your local cons and everything. And you know what, you'll find other people. Now, that said, there's reasons why they want people to go to Celebration, and there should be something that people who go to Celebration they get out of it. They go to the panels and all that. But we've talked about this before. I believe it was in 2017, 19, and I want to say for some of them in 22. But I do know for the one in 19, which I believe was in Chicago, you could flip to like all the different, like if you wanted to watch a random one about the makeup of, I think was Endor or whatever, Return, you could do that and you could watch the entire thing. You could literally watch the entire thing on YouTube. And then within the last few years, they've just slowly whittled it down and down, where the only thing you get if you watch it, you just watch the main stage of the Star Wars YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I understand why they're doing that. They want to, they're trying to make money. Nothing wrong with that. So here's an idea, because a lot of sports, case in point, the NFL. If you want to watch, I'm a Packer fan. I live in Texas, but in order for me to do that, I have to get Sunday Ticket. So, which means I have to buy through Sunday Ticket through YouTube. That's a paywall. They can paywall so you can watch the things. You can watch Celebration, or you can watch the panels that you want to watch. And honestly, people would pay for it.
Yeah.
Because I think about it too, and I was thinking about it when I was coming back from my run this afternoon. And I was like, there are people who want to go to Celebration, but because of health reasons or other things, they can't. And so they want to feel something. They want to see all that stuff. And, honestly, I don't like being amongst lots of people. I can handle a small crowd, but if we're talking 50, 60,000 people in a confided space, yeah, that's going to be hard to deal with. and then the only thing I would want to do is go to the main panels, like the video game, the TV show, the movie panels, and see everything that's getting, see everything that will get announced that within 3 to 5 years we'll find
Right.
out has been quietly pushed aside.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my grumpy old Jedi.
No, I'm with you.
coming out,
I'm
so-
totally with you on it. Yeah. JG's
But,
alone on this one. I'm with you, Nick.
But no, yeah, like just that way I can watch it.
Yeah.
And
Well-
then if they want to, and then if they want to show a trailer or something behind the scenes, they can
Yeah.
cut that part out. I'm totally
Well,
fine with that.
Remind me, what was the project that, was it Mando or was it Acolyte? That everybody at Celebration got to see, like, the first trailer for it, and then it was like a full nother year before
Yes, it
was it Mando?
It was both. They do it for most everything.
Because I remember 23 when I was watching it, they didn't show Jack in 23 to
No.
anybody on YouTube. Because I remember watching it work like that. Why am I tuning in for this right now? I don't even know. And
it was
so,
bad.
and
Like,
then
it was
they
bad.
and then they came out and said, I think it was the Mandalorian trailer. I think maybe not. Maybe it was
that
it
would have been
Acolyte?
Acolyte at
Yeah, I
that
think it
point.
was
was
Acolyte.
at that
Yeah, I think it
point.
was Acolyte. And then they showed them the trailer, like the full trailer for Acolyte, and then we're like 6 months later, we're like, how come we haven't got it yet? And then the next Celebration comes around, and everybody at Celebration got another trailer for the Acolyte, and we're like, when are we gonna get to see what the show looks like? Like, it's just, it was wild to me, and so I don't.
I give credit where credit is due, though, where definitely, like, because I remember watching back, because I was at Anaheim, and I did watch it back, and they did cut a lot for that. They did cut a lot out of London
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
However, I was covering Japan and watched Japan. Japan's was a massive improvement from London. It was not probably one-to-one as how good I would say like Chicago's coverage was, and then Orlando before that and such. But it was definitely a step in the right direction. And so if they continue in that from what they did in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be optimistic for those who are at home, because they were at least showing full panels and such, which was more than what they were doing for London. They weren't even showing the big panels, which was kind of crazy at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever get to a point where they do it, because I think if they would have done it, they would have done it by now.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's very interesting. They keep experimenting with live stuff on Disney Plus, and I don't see them fully utilizing it and such. And I always go back and forth about the whole like, oh, making it work for something for the people there and such. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, if I'm gonna look at it from like a high like suit and tie perspective, I feel like that's just free money that you're leaving on the table, and it kind of blows
Yeah.
my mind that they're not trying to do
Capitalizing on
that,
it.
which is kind of, I don't know. I think it says a lot about how they might value the con experience and the in-person experience for the people who are spending the
Mhm.
$1,000 to $3,000 to go.
Kirsty brought up an interesting point after I told her I got tickets and everything. She was like, we were talking about how you got to go see the first 30 minutes of Mando. And when we go to the celebration, it's going to be the month before Starfighter comes out. And so is there a chance you think they're going to show us like a giant clip of Starfighter or maybe 30 minutes of it or something like that? Because that's what she was like. What if they do that?
At the very least, we're for sure getting the final trailer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You'll have the cast out there and
Yeah.
everything. You're for sure getting the final trailer. You'll probably get a clip or so. I don't think, because it's going to be like 2 months before the movie, I don't think we're going to get like more than
You don't
maybe
think?
5 minutes of footage.
You don't think?
No.
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 Wouldn't it be awesome if they did a thing like they did with Ghostbusters Afterlife, where they would just talk, they did a whole panel on the movie, and then they're like, "You guys want to see the movie?" And then they just show the whole movie. They'll never do it for Star Wars.
That would be,
But that would be
insane.
so cool. They did that with
Two-
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
It's too early.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
too-
yeah, I
it's
agree.
too-
I
if
just-
we're talking,
My brain
if
is just
celebra-
rolling with
if
imagination.
celebration, I get it. I mean, trust me, it's gonna be the 50th, so it is gonna be.
Yeah.
There's gonna be those moments for sure. Like for example, I think a great expectation, if you want to go like in that, I think there's a good chance that Maul season 2 will be coming out like a month or two after Starfighter. There's a good chance you could see the first 2 episodes at
Oh my
Celebration.
gosh.
That's very possible. They have shown
God.
Rebels premieres. They did
Mhm.
Resistance season 2. I remember that. I saw the first 2 episodes of Resistance season 2 like before October when it was like releasing, and I saw that
Wow.
in April, months ahead.
I'm so ready, dude. I'm so ready. Like I said, I had a fitful night last night with sleep, but when I finally got up and I started thinking about it today, and I'm like, this is gonna be the longest wait of my life, and it's like. And it's
the most
not
exciting
though.
wait.
Yeah, it's not though, because like I think I've talked about it before, and maybe in one of my blog posts on StarWarsCanon.net. When episode 2 came out in 2002, I was 13, and so I went home, and we had AOL internet at the time, dial-up internet. I just dated myself.
You got
there.
mail.
Yeah, welcome. Couldn't use the phone while you were on the internet. If you wanted to kick your dad off, you just go get the phone, start hitting buttons, and it would kick him off the internet. It was I used to do that all the time to my day. Piss them off. Anyway, I went home, got on AOL, and I found calendars for each month all the way up through 2005. And back then they were like, "Hey, episode 3 is coming out on like May." It was like 21st, I think, if I remember right. 25th, and it was like 3 years out. And so I wrote the number all the way, and every single day, all the way back 3 years to where I was at, and I counted down like 1,200 days. And I just every day I'd mark a day off, and every day my mother would be like, "What day? How many days we got?" I still got 1,100 days, and just marking them off. And that was a grueling wait. That was grueling.
Just like the lead up to a new Star Wars movie is like actually sometimes the more exciting part. Just like that's the same thing for Celebration. Like you have now all the anticipation. Like it is gonna go quiet for a little bit. Like especially if for those who are listening who maybe haven't gone and you are going for the first time. It is going to go quiet for a little bit. Rest assured, though, the announcements really start to kick up around January again. Like we might get some little things here and there, but then this is when you start hearing about the fan events, the after parties, all the different little things that the communities and the different podcasts are going to be doing. There is going to be so much stuff leading up to Celebration that is just half the fun, is figuring out all the different activities and different fun things that you're going to do. And then when the new year comes, that's when you start hearing about the panels, the guests, who you can get autographs and photos with. It's getting me giddy, and I'm so freaking excited. And again, just like our friends, and for those who wanted to go, there will be opportunities. Ticket sales prices will come down. We don't know if there's an official like resale platform yet. That's very murky because of their prior system that they used. But just keeping a lookout. There will definitely be opportunities to be able to go if you don't have tickets. Don't give up hope.
JG, are they doing D23 this year?
They sure are.
They are August, right?
Yep.
So, because I was actually thinking about it, because between now, because everybody's saying we're going to get Ahsoka, and this is the reason why, because everybody's talking about panels and everything. And I know Ahsoka's coming out sometime at the towards the end of this year. But I was thinking about it's like, there's really no other place to get any sort of big announcements, and because I was thinking where Celebration, Disney's more or less stopped doing Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So it's like, are they gonna go to? I was thinking, are they doing D23? Because I know they did something last year, but so
they have a stockholders meeting this year too.
What's up?
They have a stockholders meeting this year too.
They should. They? Yeah, they usually do.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's annually.
Yeah, so we've got 2 more opportunities for the end of the year for them to even.
It'll
put
be
D23.
D23.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Spot where they'll spotlight it, because San Diego Comic-Con is going to be where Marvel is going to be back for the first time in a hot second. So that's Disney's focus will be Marvel for there appropriately.
Yes.
With Avengers at the end of the year. But I do think D23 is probably where we'll for sure get Ahsoka season 2 probably. Maybe an announcement about maybe a window frame for Maul, but before that, I mean, besides that, that's probably that, and they'll set up Celebration to really, who knows what the future beholds.
I think there's gonna be a lot of surprises at that Celebration. I guarantee it. There is. I mean, it's and they know. And here's the thing: even if they don't have anything planned for it, like anything big, they know we are all hyped for it because it's the 50th now, and so they're gonna have to come bring something to the stage.
So let me say this, and I might be putting the cart before the horse. Before Bob Iger left this last go around.
Mhm.
He, one of the reasons why we're getting Mando and Grogu is he flat out said, I did not buy Star Wars to have it sit on
Yeah.
TV. Now, that said, we've gotten some great television series. I bought Star Wars to put it on the big screen. So what do we have?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised if we get an initial announcement for another Star Wars movie at D23 for 2028, maybe end of 2028, and then they announce the official cast at Celebration, which I think would be awesome. I do think any of the movies that got announced, I want to say, when did they announce it?
2023. When they did those 3 movies, that was 23.
London.
Yeah.
London.
Was okay. So it would. Holy crap! So that's almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
Going to be 4 years.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if maybe we get some traction on one of those films moving.
Maybe.
Or
We're gonna talk about one here in a minute in a mailbag question.
Or brand new one. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But
So
but again, for those going, I want y'all to have fun. No, I'll be cheering with you. I got my nerdiness in Star Wars out of the way when I went to Galaxy's Edge 3 years ago. Got my lightsaber
so
there and
bad.
spent all my monies. All the monies.
money comes back. Experiences stay with you forever.
Yes.
I will warn folks, like I warned Brian. Brian, I think, jokingly said in the chat at one point, like, "Oh, I'll go to the celebration. It'll be my one time."
Yeah.
And I laughed and said, "Sure, uh-huh,
Yeah.
sure."
Okay.
It is
Got it.
very hard unless you have like a truly, which is very hard to have, but I know it's happened to folks because I've spent a lot of time with Celebration since the first London one back in 16. Once you go, it is very hard and very impossible to never want to experience that feeling that you will feel again.
Is it one of
you
those
only get
things
from
once you
Celebration.
go once and then when you watch it on YouTube the next year you feel like you're really missing out?
Yes.
Oh
Yes,
man,
it
I'm gonna
is-
hurt myself in the
Yeah,
my future
This'll be
self
my
is so mad at me
third
right now.
celebration, and there's
Oh,
nothing
man.
like it. It's just it feels like you're going home to family, and it's just pure Star Wars ecstasy. It is just
That's so cool.
unlike anything else.
I can't wait. So let us know. Be nice about it, please. Let us know in the comments. Did you guys score tickets? Did you not score tickets? Are you just be nice, please? Let us know. I'm kind of curious. Let us know in the comments. I got one more thing I want to talk about real quick before we get on to the villain bracket mailbag questions. This one I just added last minute. I wasn't going to talk about it, and then I was like, no, I'm going to talk about it because this is a hill that needs to be died upon. I feel like anyway. A couple of nights ago, I was lying in bed. I was looking at social media, and I see this like announcement come across. This like, hey, this is a new thing, and it's from Hot Toys. You already know where I'm going with this. Hot Toys has now made, I'm not going to put a picture of it up. If you want to see a picture of it, you can go find it yourself. I'm not putting it up. Hot Toys has now made a figure of, 14-year-old Ahsoka? Was she 14 or 15, something like that?
Young.
The Clone Wars version of her from the movie with the tube top, which I was really glad they retconned, you know what I mean? And then now they've gone back to it for some reason. And they've made a Hot Toy figure, lifelike figure of Ahsoka in that outfit, which it would have been creepy enough because they've got an animated Ahsoka face that they've kind of made live action to kind of make it look like it would have been creepy enough to put that head on it, but not enough to go, what is wrong with you? But they doubled down and actually they tripled down and they made her pretty busty for like a 14 or 15-year-old. And they put the head of the actual actress on it who was like 16 at the time. What is wrong with you, Hot Toys? Like, who thought that was a good idea? Who approved that? Whoever approved that needs to be looked into. And I get it. It's just a toy. It's based off a cartoon character. I know people are like, what are you mad about? It's just a cartoon character. Look, it's got a real person's face on it. It's got a real 16-year-old girl's lifelike face on it. And I've got an Ahsoka hot toy, but it's the Mandalorian one when she's fully, and I know what the skin feels like on those. They feel pretty soft, lifelike-ish, you know what I mean? And so it's just creepy. It's weird. Am I wrong?
It's super weird. It's super unfortunate because it's like It's problematic. It'd be still problematic even if it was like going for the actual Clone Wars
Yeah.
animation look and that.
It would have been like, oh, really?
It would have been like, oh, really? Why are we going back to that?
yeah.
This just feels very dangerous, problematic, and icky and such. In a world where we live, where Twitter is a hellscape of putting people's images on very mature graphic photos and such
Yes.
made by AI and such, this feels almost like the next step of that by like making this into a collectible toy of sorts. And it's just, I really didn't know much about it because I'm not super deep when it comes to like the collectible figures and such. But then, once it was brought up in our chat and such, and I started like seeing some buzz about it, I was like, oh yeah, that's problematic.
Yes, very. I leaned over and showed it to Kirsty, and I was like, "This is not okay." I mean, as a father, you know what I mean. Like, I've got a daughter, and she's adopted, but I have a daughter, and I can't imagine, and she's 17. I can't imagine somebody putting her face on something like that. You know what I mean? And then selling it to people, and then not only sell it to people, but people actually buy it and are excited to buy it. I never understood everybody's obsession with that stupid tube top that she wore in Clone Wars. I get that came straight from George Lucas. I like how all of a sudden
a big miss.
Yeah, oh, huge. And I mean that's like Stormtrooper miss. It's funny that like that happened, and then all of a sudden the quote is resurfacing of Dave Filoni going, "That was all George. That was all George's idea. He's the one that wanted the tube top and the short skirt and all that." And even 2008 when I sat down in the theater, I was like, "That's a little girl. Why? What are we doing here?" And then when the Ahsoka series came out and they kind of retconned it because they did the live action flashback and she was in a full, I was like, that's what it should have been from the get-go. Completely agree. That's the version they should have done. But the tube top thing, what is everybody's obsession with this tube top?
We shouldn't be surprised when there's the obsession with, obviously it's not the same level, but the same obsession that individuals have with Talon and her wardrobe.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Her clothes are basically tattooed on. I mean, that's to put it frankly. But at least she's not a 14-year-old girl.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? At least she's not a 16-year-old actress with a face
more
being
cotton
put
and
on.
an aspirin bottle. But,
So
yeah.
So I'll say this because I have a 13-year-old boy, I have a 11-year-old daughter, and an 8-year-old daughter. So as a father, I completely agree with you, Brian. And then so we're looking at it as an adult, and we're like, oh my God, this is horrible and everything.
Just icky.
And then yes, and the reason I bring this up because my son the other day was watching the 2007 version of Transformers, and he and he loves Transformers. And after the movie, he turned to my wife, his stepmom. His stepmom was like, I did not realize how much sexual innuendo was in this film. And that's like when I
much.
And I was, again, I remember when the original Ghostbusters came out, and it wasn't until I had kids and I watched it with my kids, and there's the scene with Dan Aykroyd
with Ray and his weird dream. Yeah,
I was like, oh my God, it's hitting me. Yeah. And then I listened to my kids' music, and I'm like, oh my God, this is because the big thing is now everybody's talking about Sabrina Carpenter and all her stuff. I was like, yeah. Well, I want you to stop. And JG, you're about 15, 20 years younger than I am. But me and Brian,
that's generous. Thank you. I appreciate
You're welcome. But look, I'm going to be 45. I started listening to music I was growing up with in my teens and early 20s. Like,
it makes you stop for a second. And you're like, wait a second.
And then I would actually listen to the lyrics now that I have kids, and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell am I listening to? So on one hand, I really do understand people's concern about it. On the other hand, for kids, for people that just want to like kids and everything. Now,
Yeah.
granted, these are not
toys to play with. Yeah.
These are
These are not the
collectibles.
dollar
but-
bin Target toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guarantee you somebody's gonna buy it for their child and be like, "Oh, this is awesome, thank you," and they will think nothing of it now until
Yeah.
they're about 10, 15 years later.
Man, you know what? I would agree with you if they put the animated head on her.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
If they
No,
had, if they had put
and
that
again-
weird, because even that one had some uncanny valley to it when they took the animated
Yeah.
version and they made it look like it would look like in a it's not a real person. It's a
No.
human designed person, and so
Yeah.
it's not an actual
It's-
16-year-old girl.
It's the fact that they took something that was retconned and changed because
Yes.
of the problematic
Brought it back
nature
for
of
a
it,
reason.
but then they went out of their way to then reverse that basically and undo basically what the creatives, which I'm actually kind of surprised in because I would assume that someone also at Lucasfilm would have to sign off on this, and I'm surprised that somehow slipped through the cracks.
I have no idea, but it's icky. I think I
No,
wanted to
and
bring it
no,
up because I'm
yeah.
like,
so as a father, I agree with you.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm just saying,
ugh.
you know,
I doubt it's going to sell well.
Yeah, and
There's been a
somebody's
lot of
going to buy it for
backlash.
their kid. And,
Yeah.
and yeah.
I thought it was weird. I wanted to see what everybody thought because I thought maybe I was taking crazy pills the day I saw it, and then because I didn't see anybody really complaining about it, and then the next day was when I was like, oh, people are complaining about this.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is I'm not the only one. I was like, okay,
Yo.
I feel a lot better now. But yeah, no, Hot Toys, dude, what the heck? Like for real? I don't. Oh gosh, that's so gross. Anyway, we'll move on from it. I just wanted to bring it up, see what you guys' thoughts on it were, and we'll get past it. Ugh. No reviews this week because I know last week I said we were gonna do the Blade, and one of the Tales of Enlightenment, but Yusuf's not with us on this episode, and he's kind of the reason we're doing it. It's for his benefit as we move through the timeline. So next week when Yusuf is on, we will review those two pieces of canon because I think that's where we're at anyway. And so we'll do those next week. Let's move on to the villain bracket, which is also Yusuf's baby, which is kind of funny. The villain bracket this week, we got the wheel pulled up, which I'll pull it up here in a minute. Last week, you guys voted on our Facebook page, our Twitter account, on Spotify, and on YouTube, and it was another landslide victory for Darth Tyrannus. Darth Tyrannus won this one against Darth Xana. I voted for my girl. I was hoping that other people would join me in voting for my girl, but she did not win. So I was like, oh, sad panda. Okay, so we'll move on. Darth Tyrannus won by a landslide. He'll move on into whatever final bracket we end up doing. So this week we've got the wheel pulled up, and I might have to re-add it here real quick. We will get it moved. There we go. We're going to spin this wheel, and we are going to see who our next two are going to be. So here we go. All right, we're going to have, my boy Darth Bane this week. I love Darth Bane. I love me some good Darth Bane.
Okay.
And so Darth Bane's going to be the first choice. We're going to click here and see who the next one's going to be. Oh, please don't be Vader. Oh, Sidious.
Ooh, that's
Bane
fun.
and Sidious. This is a good one.
Yeah, that's interesting.
This is a really good
Oh my
one.
God.
Bane and Sidious.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Darth Bane versus Darth Sidious. That's our villain bracket. I'm so sad Yusuf's not with us right now. Because
Yeah.
this is a good one, man. I think we don't really need to talk about either of those characters a whole lot. I think everybody
Nope.
basically knows who they are. We'll just cut this one short. Bane and Sidious. Go vote, guys. We're going to have it up on our YouTube channel. If you're listening on Spotify, you can scroll down. The poll is right here on this episode. Go vote for which character you
Brian.
think is cooler. Yes, Nick.
Who are you gonna?
Who
vote
do you
for?
think I'm going to vote for, Nick? Bane. Of course I'm going to vote for Bane. I love Bane. No, I hate you guys.
Boo.
I'm about to kick you guys off the studio. Bane all the way. Go vote. You can vote multiple times
You
across
didn't
all of our
ask who I
platforms.
was gonna.
Who
vote
are you going to vote for, Nick? Sidious, right? I know you're going to vote for Sidious.
No.
No? Oh, well, then.
No.
Okay.
I'm actually gonna vote for
Boo.
Bane.
Yay.
Hey,
Yay.
Hey,
I take
hey,
everything
what
bad
did
I've
I-
ever said
what-
about you back.
no, you don't. Lies. So, again, I'm going to go back to what I said last week in the what if question.
Yeah.
What if Order 66? And I said Order 66 was a product of 1,000 years of Sith patience.
Mm-hmm.
And who started that?
Darth Bane.
Darth Bane.
Yeah.
So there we go.
JG does not
Bane
agree
was-
with us, so it's going to be crap on JG night for the rest of the night now.
So, yeah. So I'm going to vote for Bane.
Yay! I'm not going
No.
to be the only one.
Legend or canon version of Bane, still voting for Bane.
The only version I really know,
There's
is
barely
Legends.
anything in
Yeah.
canon.
there's the one that Mark Hamill voiced that got
Yeah,
is
he
kind of in the
mentioned.
Lost Missions, but I just
That's it.
I'm not even sure that was actually Bane. I think it was just a Force vision that Yoda was having. It wasn't actually him.
I think it was Bane, but
You
that's
think?
a whole can of worms.
That's a subject for another episode. So, go vote multiple times. All of our socials are in the description below. Head over there and vote multiple times if you want. We will announce the winner on next week's episode and pick 2 new names. Oh, please go vote for Bane. Please vote for- I don't even think I need to beg for you to vote
All
for
you need
Bane.
to know about Palpatine is that in Legends, all you need to know, this is the one reason you need, naked Palpatine.
No. I got 2
Oh,
words
yeah.
for you with Bane. Thought bomb. That's all I've got to say. Thought bomb. And you haven't read the books, have you?
Nope.
So you don't even know what the thought bomb is. Oh my God.
I've heard
He-
someone mention
so-
something similar.
I'm going to say this real quick. This is my plea to everybody to vote for Darth Bane because I really want Bane to move on. He decided, because at the time there was an army of light and an army of darkness, a brotherhood of darkness, Sith army and Jedi army. And he decided that they all needed to be wiped out. There can only be 2 Sith. He came up with this whole idea. So he researched this ancient arcane force ability to create this thing called a thought bomb. And it's in his cavern, and when he activates it, it basically sucked the life essence out of every force user within a certain radius into it, and and all those essences of people are experiencing an eternal hell inside of this thing. And that's how he kills everybody. And he shields himself from it because he created it, and so
Of course.
he kills everybody with it. And it's the most epic show of badassery I think I've ever read in a novel from a Sith character. It was absolutely awesome. So go vote for Bane. I'm just gonna say it. Anyway, that's our villain bracket. Yusuf's gonna watch
Now
this and be
that-
so
now-
mad.
Now that said, if Bane wins, I'll be happy. But if Sidious wins, I will also be happy.
I will riot
Because
if
I
you guys
looked
vote for
at-
Sidious.
I looked at this and it's like I could see either one winning, and it's going to be by a razor thin
I'm willing to
margin.
bet that Palpatine wins this. Maybe
Probably.
not decisively, but I think Palpatine wins this.
This
at
I don't
least.
think this one will be a landslide like the last couple have been.
No, I'm thinking about 55 to 65%.
This one's gonna be close. Go vote multiple times for the one you want to win. Unless you're voting for Sidious, then only vote once. Or don't vote at all. That's fine too. So let's move on to mailbag questions. We've got 4 good questions this week that I went through and picked out for this episode. How do you guys get a question on the Star Wars Canon Podcast? You can send it to us at starwarscanon.net/mailbag. You can go to that. The link is below in the description of this video. And you guys can go there and send in a question, comment. What do you think of the website? What do you think of the show? It doesn't have to be a mailbag question, but send a mailbag question. That's always fun. We've got 4 good questions this week, and the mailbag questions have been hitting really good these last few episodes. And so let's kick this off. The first question this week comes from Sarah Whitaker. And Sarah writes in and says, "Greetings, fellas. I'm new to your show and love your format and content. I thought I'd write in and ask what some of your favorite Star Wars inconsistencies on film are. Not exactly what's canon or not, but little mistakes the crew made while filming. I can't wait to listen to this week's episode. May the Force be with you." Thanks for the comment, Sarah. Yeah, so have you guys noticed watching Star Wars and seeing little tiny things that just continuity problems and not canon problems necessarily, but little continuity things? Have you really thought about, I'll tell you what, the classic trilogy is really horrible for it. The classic trilogy did a lot of flipping the film based just off of what the film looked like either way. A lot of times Boba Fett's antenna's on the wrong end, or his little reticle thing is on the wrong side. R2-D2 gets flipped a ton. My favorite moments though, and as sad as this is, it's just kind of funny to point out. It's not a funny thing. It's just funny now that I know about it because I read the Princess Diaries that Carrie Fisher wrote, her autobiography.
Yes.
And now having read that, now I can spot it in the movie. You can tell when she's cracked out of her head in Empire Strikes Back.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can see when she's high on cocaine, and she's just sitting there staring off into space in some shots, and you can see her pinky nail. You can see that little, I mean, stuff like that. As somebody that's on the spectrum, I'd notice detail in things very, very easily that other people don't normally pick up on. My favorite one is in Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting. They're on Mustafar, and they're kind of on top of the table, and Anakin is like pushing down. He's like choking Obi-Wan. Their lightsaber hilts switch hands. Like they are holding each other's lightsabers for a couple of shots. And then if you look,
Oh wow,
and it happens. And then if you look, there was a stunt saber that Hayden Christensen used that had a thinner neck on it, so he could do the twirl with it a lot better. You can see that Obi-Wan is holding that lightsaber, and you can see the little thin neck. And what they did was they extended the blade further down the hilt to about halfway down to cover it up, to try to cover it up, but you can still blatantly see it. But if it was a blink if you miss it kind of thing. I love little things like that, like General Grievous's lightsaber switching hands and blade colors on the hilts and stuff. There's so many little things. Have you guys noticed any of these little details or anything?
I know that I've definitely have seen or noticed some, and I can't. Besides like Revenge of the Sith, I think being one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, that
Like the only thing that keeps in my mind is not an inconsistency, but I keep thinking of the goof where in 4 where the stormtrooper hits his head off,
Yeah.
and they keep that in there.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. There is a lot. Like if you look for it, or if you YouTube it or Google it and such, you'll there's a list, and they're there.
There's one shot I've always noticed too in Empire when Luke and Vader are fighting in the carbon freezing chamber, and Luke kicks Vader off the platform, and he falls down. You hear that and Luke stands there for a second, and then he kind of walks backwards out of the shot, and then he reappears off to the side. And as he's walking away, you hear his lightsaber deactivate. And so that was an animation they didn't have to do on screen of it deactivating. But if you watch, you can see whoever pulled the rod out of the lightsaber, you see the end of the rod kind of come into view just a little bit over the ledge of the platform. You can see it come over, and then he jumps down. I mean, there's just little things like that I love noticing. I mean, details on lightsabers. You can tell, oh, no, you know what? The sequel trilogy's bad about it too. The sequel films, because they have those light up lightsabers now. And so when Rey in episode 8 is training on Ahch-To with the lightsaber, you can tell she's got a stunt saber because it's got like a black cap on the end of it. You can tell that it's got a battery pack in it. I mean, little things like that. So, Nick, have you noticed anything like this, or do you just not watch it close enough to catch any of it?
I'd probably have to go back and watch the prequels and the sequels and Rogue One or
all of them.
Solo. But probably the most obvious one that a lot of people may or may not know about is the original Star Wars. The original Star Wars.
Not A New Hope. Star Wars. Yeah.
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 When essentially people think about Star Wars now, this massive, huge budget. But when it got made, it was popsicle sticks, broken down in gutted battleship replicas and everything.
World War II replicas.
Yeah, all that stuff. But the one that I really like is when Luke's speeder is going across the street, the screen.
Mm-hmm.
They put Vaseline on
on the lens,
on the camera, to prevent everybody from seeing the wheels.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome. That's great.
I would recommend for people who are interested in more of the behind the scenes stuff, which that's kind of my thing. I like now, like all the behind the scenes stuff. Go get the books about the making of Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, Return, because they go into detail about that stuff.
Another one that's really funny is in episode 1, the Mos Espa racing arena. Because that was a big model in a parking lot. That was a practical model. And all the people in it are just Q-tips with the ends painted different colors, stuck down in like chicken wire. Another one is Luke's lightsaber is stuck in the snow in Empire. And you can see Rochester, New York printed on the inside of the. I think it's funny. All this stuff is in Star Wars, and then somebody like Star Wars Theory has a problem that there's a Phillips head screw on Rey's staff. Oh, we have Phillips head screws in Star Wars now? Oh, there's brick buildings in Star Wars and Andor? Wow, how are there brick buildings? Are you kidding me? Look at everything else that's come out that had all this stuff. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to get on that.
Oh, hey, you know what? Since I know it's not film, but let's go to the shows.
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett.
Oh,
at the end.
Are you talking about the shot where you can see inside the set?
Yes.
Yes. There's one shot it's an above view shot looking straight down into the streets
and
of Mos
if you're
Espa.
not paying close enough attention, you'll miss it.
They didn't put the ceiling on one of the buildings, and you can see inside the building the 2x4s holding the walls up inside the set as the speeder goes around the corner. Like, they just forgot. Or what about T-shirt guy in Mandalorian that they forgot to paint out? He was standing in the back, and you just saw him, like his arm at one point, and somebody spotted it, and then they had to go re-edit it and put that episode back out. I remember, I love stupid stuff like that. I love watching things like that. Or sometimes, and a lot of people don't realize this, you can always tell when Kenny Baker was inside of R2-D2.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell every single time, because when R2's on two legs and he's got those two little like foil things coming down into his feet, that was Kenny Baker inside there, and that was covering up his legs going into the feet. Anytime he's on three legs, Kenny Baker was not inside of him. And so, and there's times where you can see, there's one shot, oh man, was it an Empire? I think it was an Empire on Dagobah. A light hits R2 just right. You can see Kenny Baker's face inside the giant black eye on R2-D2. You can just see Kenny Baker inside looking out. And so I love stuff like that. You know, it just gives it charm.
So the other one too is in going back, Empire Strikes Back, during the AT-AT's assault on Echo Base and everything. The original snowspeeder attack, they actually had to lighten the inside of the screen, the speeder, so when they're going to make the attack, you can actually see
through it.
Yeah. So
yeah, there's or seeing like bubble wrap on Luke's harness.
Yeah,
I love seeing little stuff like that. So what are some of your guys' favorite things? Maybe we said them all. I'm sure there's a crap load more of other ones that we've never even touched on. But I love little movie mistakes like that. It's always so fun to point them out. And it doesn't, some of them take me out of the movie, but other ones I'm just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like you said with the banging the head on the door, I like how they leaned into it with Jango Fett in episode 2 when he's getting on Slave 1. You hear the ping as he's going in. So no, I think that was a really great question. It's fun to think about little stuff like that. So thanks for sending it in, Sarah. I do appreciate it. The second question this week comes from Jason McHugh. And Jason writes in and says, now that Kathy is gone and Filoni is taking a lead role, do you think his previously announced movie will still be made? I've heard some of Brian's ideas he's had for the movie, and I agree it has such high potential. What are your thoughts? Thanks for sending in the question, Jason. What do you guys think? Do you think Filoni's movie, do you think he's going to be the one to make it, or is somebody else going to maybe take over for that film and do that portion of the story? What do you guys think? Or is it going to get made at all?
I think it's going to depend on Mandalorian and Grogu.
That's a good point, yeah.
So, since JG brought that up, we're less than 2 weeks before it comes out. But I looked at, all the movies that are coming out after it. I think it's gonna take Memorial Day without a doubt. But it does have about, I would say, about a good 2.5, almost 3 week nice window where it can make a decent sized chunk. And I think that's part of the reason why Disney said, no, we're keeping it here. Because I remember when it got announced, because it was essentially Mando and Grogu, and then next week it was supposed to be Doomsday or the Kang Dynasty before whatever Jonathan Majors got fired. And we were going back and forth about a year ago. It's like, which one's going to get moved? And I said, it's going to be Avengers. And you,
I
Brian,
swore it was going to be Star Wars. I swore Star Wars was going to move. Yeah.
And I said, the reason why is right now, Star Wars has to build, get back in the good graces of people. Avengers is going to make its money wherever it lands. They could land it in the middle of February. So you need the money for that. So I think I think we're going to get the conclusion of the Mandoverse series movies because uh because it was essentially everything we heard, it was supposed to be kind of like the
Heir to the
canon version
Empire,
of
yeah.
Heir to the, yeah. So I think we're
Which I'm
going
still
to get
hoping
it.
for. Yeah.
I don't think Filoni's going to direct it. I think they're going to find somebody else to direct it. My guess is it may be Favreau, depending on, as JG said, how the Mandalorian and Grogu goes.
I think Dave will want a shot at a movie, and I think as long as everything is smooth sailing, I think he's going to direct that movie. I think
Okay.
it will probably be a one and done, but I think he's going. He has.
If he does, it will
been-
be, yeah.
I think he's been wanting, or he's been preparing for this since Rogue One, when Kathy first brought him onto the set of Rogue One and was starting to introduce him to the world of live action, especially live action feature filmmaking. So I think from his apprenticeship under George, his apprenticeship under Kathy, now also having the support of his co-president Linwin, I think he's gonna have the ability that if he wants to, and if the story and the other executives and such, like, they still feel this is the direction they want to go story wise, and also like content wise, product wise is more where I'm going. I think he will, because I mean, there's no reason why he couldn't, and I say that simply. James Gunn is the co-president of DC. He's doing the same thing, kind of like as Dave, where he's on the story side, where his partner Peter Safran is the finance side. And he directed Superman, and he's directing the Superman sequel. So
he can do both.
Yeah.
I agree. I really hope this movie gets made. Because I remember Kathy is the one that announced it. I remember she was talking about how this era was gonna culminate in a big cinematic event.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's Mando and Grogu. And so I think that movie is still gonna get made. And the reason I hope they do this is like Nick said, there's a lot of graces that Star Wars has to win back with audiences. And there's this huge debate online of what's canon and what's EU and what's legends, and there's there's only one true canon, and it was the George Lucas one. I think if they do this film, because they've already set up Thrawn to be the big baddie, right? They're setting him up with Ahsoka. Yeah. They're setting up the Imperial Remnant and the Warlords and all this other stuff. They're bringing it all up now. And it would feel kind of weird if they just went a different direction and never touched on Thrawn again. And it was just like retirement plan on Dathomir. Yeah. And so I think they're still going to end up doing it. And I think I agree with you that Dave Filoni will be the one to helm it. But I want this movie to be made so bad. Because I've talked about this movie before and how much potential it's got and what I want out of it. Because this is going to be probably one... Balin. My cat Balin just jumped up. Hey, Balin made another appearance. What do you know? This is going to be maybe Lucasfilm's possibly one of their last chances to bring the fan base together and to give fans what they've been asking for, and that's Han, Luke, and Leia together again. This is going to be one of their final chances, because you cannot tell me that they're going to do an Heir to the Empire movie and Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han Solo are not going to show up in that movie, because we just talked about it with Maul. With Vader coming in for the fight and everything, they look at the characters that are in play, and then they use them naturally. And if Thrawn is leading this giant Imperial remnant in from the outer reaches to try to take over the New Republic, who's going to be at the forefront of that fight? The guy that's trying to build the new Jedi Order is going to be in that fight. Leia is going to be in that fight, because they've already been teasing her with 3PO and Ahsoka and all this.
Oh, yeah.
And Han's going to be there. General Solo is going to be at Leia's side. And I'm not going to put it outside the realm of possibility we get a young Ben Solo just because of where we're at in the timeline.
So I'll say this when it comes to, and I agree with you. They are literally setting up the entire thing for that movie. Look at seasons 1 through 3 of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Look,
Ahsoka was a huge step in that direction. Yeah.
Yeah. And now essentially all this stuff from Mando and Grogu for the movie is pointing to it.
Yeah.
And you got Rebel. So yeah, to me, if they just conclude it with the Mando and Grogu movie and Ahsoka season 2, it's going to be such a letdown.
It's gonna be a dud.
It really will.
That's why I said this is their chance to bring everybody together. Because
Mhm.
if they do a movie, and I'm not saying that Han, Luke, and Leia are going to be the main characters in that movie. That is not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying they're going to be a part of it. It's not going to be like the movie is centered around them, you know? I think it's going to be this group that we know trying to fight it off until they can't do it on their own anymore. And the New Republic finally steps in, and then here comes the A-Team again. You know?
And Brian, we've talked about that. We talked about this after the show went off the air. If you really look at it, you essentially have, minus Luke
Everybody.
and Leia, you have all the original characters, but they're just recast.
Yeah.
You have Danny Glover. Danny or Donnie?
Donald Glover. Danny Glover is not going to be a great Lando right now. I'm just going to let you know right now.
No.
He's too old for that crap. I'm just letting you know.
You have Donald Glover. You have Alden Ehrenreich as Han. So you have...
You've got the new Chewie, obviously. You've got the new Chewie.
And then this is the perfect opportunity for everybody to get Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker. And then...
I don't know. I don't see them doing that because they've already...
No.
Here's where I stand on that stuff.
I don't think
they're going to deep fake it.
Saying,
they're going to deep fake all of it. That's exactly what they're going to do because they tried the young Han Solo thing.
Not for a movie.
You don't think for a movie?
Not if they're like main.
Oh man, I don't know.
This is not like a Tarkin cameo. This is not Leia at the end of Rogue One. If these are like main character, like basically Solo, for example, we have to cast them.
I'm torn because you have a point because Alden Ehrenreich. I'm sitting here going, but how are you going to go from Alden Ehrenreich to Harrison Ford back to Alden Ehrenreich? But they did it with Bail Organa. If you watch everything chronologically, it's Jimmy Smits, and then it's back to Jimmy. And so I guess you could do it, and because he was a good Solo. He was a great Han Solo. Honestly,
he's older now, so it works.
Gosh, part of me really wants them to still go the deep fake route, just because they've already done it with Luke and Mandalorian. And Book of Boba Fett, especially Book of Boba Fett.
Bad.
It was better in Book of Boba Fett. It wasn't perfect, but it had definitely improved between Mando and Book of Boba Fett.
If they're in the movie longer than 5 minutes, they need to be cast.
I don't disagree with that. But what I'm saying though is, if Thrawn is on the Chimera and he's got the remnant of the Imperial forces behind him, going to attack wherever the New Republic is based at this time. Let's say it's Hosnian Prime, or we could say it's Chandrilla. I think it's Chandrilla at that point, though, isn't it? I think it is. Anyway, doesn't matter. Something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Have them do this full-on attack, and you put out a trailer, right? And it's like I hate to use this term, but the Mandoverse characters, right? You do this whole trailer with all the Mandoverse characters, and you bring back Cara Dune and like all these other things, and you show and then all of a sudden, you end the trailer with a shot of the Millennium Falcon like coming down to like going against the Chimera. That's a $2 billion movie instantly. I don't give a crap what anybody says. That is an instant $2 billion movie. You don't even have to show Han, Luke, and Leia in the Falcon, or Luke in his X-wing. You show the Millennium Falcon and Red 5 come down together to go against the Chimera. $2 billion movie. Lines around the block. I'm not even playing. And you've got everybody who's watched the Mando stuff on TV. You got grandma that comes to Thanksgiving to watch The Mandalorian with you, coming to see this movie with you. You've got us canon lovers who are like, oh my God, Thrawn's coming back. You've got people from Legends fans coming back saying they're doing Heir to the Empire. We're going to go check that out. This could be the chance to bring everybody together under, one huge time and one huge climactic movie. I'm on my soapbox again. I'm sorry. I really hope this movie happens. I really do. I think
in April.
Don't tell me that.
April.
Don't tell me that. And think, oh my God, now I just want to go into a coma for the next 8 months. That's all I want. Just comatize me. Put me into a medically induced coma. Let me get there. I'll just dream about lightsabers and blasters the whole time. It's fine. Anyway, I think the movie's got a lot of potential. I think you're right, though. I got off track there a little bit. I think Dave Filoni will be the one ended up helming it. And honestly, I think it'll be him and Jon Favreau helming that movie together. That's a huge
So-
undertaking. That's end
So,
game undertaking right there.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing too is, and I agree, I think Favreau is going to be a part of it. I think Filoni's going to be a part of it. You know, me personally, if you really want to get people excited about it, get Tony Gilroy then involved. in it
Yeah.
to even write the script or something. But
Yeah.
anyways,
So yeah, no, I think that movie's got so much potential. They would be stupid to not try it. It might crash and burn. Who knows? It might pull a Snap Wexley and just crash and burn and just be nothing. But at least give it a shot. At least try to throw something at the wall and see what sticks, you know? And if it sucks, then we'll just get a whole bunch of books that kind of fill in the gaps and make it better and kind of retcon things like we kind of have done in the past. So thanks for sending in the question, Jason. Anybody else want to add anything more on the Heir to the Empire thing before we move on? No? Okay.
nope.
Third question this week comes from Tim Peterson. Tim's been a long-time listener. We've had a couple questions from Tim before. Tim writes in and says, hello, members of the Star Wars Canon Podcast. I've been a fan since the Canon Library days. I'm wondering, what are a few of your favorite stories from the decade so far? A few of mine are Andor, Ahsoka, and Maul Shadow Lord. Keep up the great work. Sending this from Oregon. Thanks for sending in the question, Tim, and thanks for being an awesome listener, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. What do you guys think? What are some of your favorite story arcs that have come out of Star Wars in the last 10, 15 years?
I will keep it short and sweet, keep it to this decade, and I'll just say my favorite, and it's just simply the High Republic. High Republic
fair
has
enough.
become my favorite era of Star Wars storytelling. That whole initiative is just full of rich stories. It laid the foundation for a new era that like anyone can now come in and tell stories, whether that be through video games, movies, TV shows, books, and such. It is so exciting and so interesting, and there's still so much that they could explore. Like there's nothing like it when all those books and comics came out. It was truly something to experience in the fandom at that point. I mean, heck, even whenever it was a celebration for London, when they had a whole giant one of the main stages that was filled for books, that never happens at celebration.
Yeah.
Usually they fill a small little room for like 100, 150 people. No, there were like 500 plus people in that room. High Republic is truly special, and I think it is some of the best that they've done in these 2020s for sure.
I don't disagree with you. Nick, what about you?
So again, for books and comics, I defer to Brian and JG. They know way more than I do. I'm more of the TV and movies, and to a certain extent the video games.
Yeah, I'm on like my third Kindle since I started reading.
Oh my!
Wearing 'em out.
So, you know what, Kathy Kennedy, for all the hate she gets for all the movies. We got the Benioff and Weiss Old Republic trilogy that then got, I could go on my soapbox about, but know what? This is where I'm going to give credit where credit is due to Kathy and Filoni and them. When they actually have come out with stuff that's, in the live action animated stuff, they 9 times out of 10, they have knocked it out of the ballpark. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
And know what? For me, it's very simple. There were 3 of them. Rogue One, and that includes Andor. But before we go any further, everybody will talk about how Andor is better than Rogue One. I say no, Rogue One is better than Andor, because if we did not get Rogue One, we don't get Andor.
Yeah.
And specifically to me, Rogue One is the greatest piece of Star Wars storytelling that Disney has done, period. And as a veteran, that's about as close to live combat as you can get in a world full of lightsabers and space wizards,
Yeah.
as some people have said. And there were a lot of extras in that movie, in Rogue One, that were veterans of the British military from the GWAT era.
Yeah.
So that's another reason
Yeah.
why I love that film. Number 2, Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew, I absolutely
It's
adore
top of my
and
list.
love.
Believe
It
or
is
not.
a
Yeah.
it is an ode and a love song to those who grew up in the 80s and 90s. And number 3 for me, and it's one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to something coming out in 2 weeks, and that's the Mandalorian season. And look, I'm gonna ask fans to think about this because I actually started a rewatch of the series, and I am gonna go back and watch Book of Boba Fett and everything. And I'll ask JG this: do I need to watch Ahsoka? Do you think for me to watch? Okay, perfect.
No.
So I'm gonna
real quick. I'll even interject and say, especially because I had just finished my rewatch of the Mandoverse. Basically, I did Book of Boba Fett in all 3 seasons. Really, and especially after seeing the first half hour, all you need to see from Mandalorian and Grogu is the last 10 minutes of season 3.
Oh wow.
That's all you need.
I'm glad. That's great. That's good to
little
know.
The little, I mean, don't get me wrong. There could be stuff later on in the movie,
Right.
but generally, if you want to know what you need to know to go into this movie, all you need is like whatever that little epilogue is, basically after Gideon is defeated, and the little after like the whole little Mandalorian moment there. Whatever that little epilogue, that's all you need. Like that last 5
That's
or so
good to
minutes.
know.
That is literally, I literally from now on, that's my answer. If people ask me, what do I need to watch? Go to the last episode of the Mandalorian season 3 and watch those last 5 minutes. That's all you need.
So where I'm going with it, I'm about halfway through season 1 of Mando, and look, I'm not saying season 3 of Mando was the greatest thing, all that, but everybody's poo-pooing on season 3 like it was some sort of, pardon my language, but some sort of dog shit. It wasn't dog shit. What people are the reason they're shitting on season 3 again goes back to the Lizzo, Jack Black,
Christopher
Lloyd.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
The Mandalorian, and then the whole robot bar thing, and
The robot morgue.
corpse.
Yeah.
You cut out half of that episode. Season 3 in general is just a great, a fun ride, and I was happy with it. So I loved what we got. Honestly, I haven't seen Resistance, so I'm not going to poo-poo on that. I have no desire to see it,
You can
but
boo-boo
I've
on
heard
it.
a lot of good things about it. JG knows my gripes with The Acolyte,
Yeah.
but I don't hate the show. I've actually spoken very highly of the last 3 episodes of The Acolyte. So when they actually get stuff off the ground and they get it made, 9 times out of 10, it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
Season 3 is the best live action Clone Wars season that's out there. When you
Mando.
When you look at Mandalorian
Yeah,
season 3,
that's exactly what it
is.
is.
A Clone Wars season.
It's a Clone Wars season. Yeah.
And it's also misappropriately, like, having watched it now, it dawned on me, like, that season should have been called The Book of Bo-Katan. That is not a
Yeah, I agree.
That
That would've been cool.
That main character is Bo-Katan.
Yeah, I agree.
She's the main character of that season, not Din.
It's like Ahsoka was a really great Rebel season 5.
Exactly.
It was.
And
It
how,
was great.
And how Mando took over Book of Boba Fett and all that. Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I already told you while Nick was talking. My number 1 is Skeleton Crew. I adore Skeleton Crew so much, and I wasn't even looking forward to it. I was like, every time I'd see something more, I'm like, oh, I don't care. And I sat down to watch the first, what was it, 3 episodes they put out of Skeleton Crew?
Yeah.
I sat down and watched the first 3 episodes, and I was like 20 minutes into the first episode, I'm like, I was hooked. Oh my God, this is amazing. And so I love Skeleton Crew. Like you said, a perfect ode to people who grew up in the 80s and 90s, watched things like E.T. and Goonies, and it was an amazing show.
Skeleton Crew is
Hook.
the Goonies.
Anybody who
in
watched
Star
Hook,
Wars.
yeah.
And I love the Goonies.
Yeah. Oh God, it's so good. Because we were those kids. We were the kids that were on an isolated planet. We have stories of Jedi and stuff. Then we have action figures and ships hanging from the ceiling and stuff. And then, can you imagine, as kids, we wanted this ship to crash and for us to get on it and to take off into the Star Wars galaxy. That's what we wanted. And these kids got to live that. They got to live what we wanted as kids. And so it was easier to relate to that. I loved it. It was so good. And to this day, Siege of Mandalore is gold star story, Star Wars storytelling for me. I love Siege of Mandalore. Just those last 4 episodes, all of season 7 of Clone Wars was good, but those last 4 episodes, and then when you add in the Tales of the Jedi stuff with Ahsoka with that season and kind of watch them all concurrently, beautiful. Love it. I loved Ahsoka. I can't wait to see season 2 of Ahsoka. Baylan Skoll, I miss you. I love you. I can't wait to see more of you. I even named my cat after you. I can't wait to see where that story goes. But yeah, man, those are basically my big ones right there is Skeleton Crew, Siege of Mandalore, and Ahsoka. I adore those 3 projects. It's hard to top for me. That's really hard. I love Skeleton Crew. I don't think anybody ever. I remember, and I might have said this on one of the last episodes for the last couple of weeks talking about Skeleton Crew. We were watching Skeleton Crew, my wife and I, and she told me after one of the episodes that she looked over, and I actually had this like childlike look of wonder on my face, and it's just it, and I felt it, like it was just like, this is Star Wars, this is awesome, and it brought that out in me, and it was just this joy. It's the same joy I felt. Say what you will about The Last Jedi, but it's the same joy I feel every time I see Yoda's Force Ghost pop up in Last Jedi. I get so emotional and almost tear up every single time because, like I said, say what you will about Last Jedi, but all the dialogue between Luke and Yoda was perfect. Everything Yoda said was perfect. That lesson he imparted on Luke was perfect. The playful Yoda that we had from the classic trilogy instead of the serious one from the prequels. Oh, young Skywalker, missed you I have. I love that. I love seeing playful Yoda again, you know, and it's just, man, it just warms my heart every time I see that scene. It just is like I'm a kid again. I just love it so much. But yeah, that's my answer. Those are my favorite arcs.
Brian, I remember when Skeleton Crew came out, and we were chatting. We were chatting. You talked about how you actually went and got your action figures out of like the closet or something.
I did,
and started playing with them again.
Yeah, I started standing them up and displaying them again, and like, my old Power of the Force stuff from '95, the ones that look like He-Man, where I'm surprised R2 didn't have a 6-pack. You know, like those are the ones to have, man. Those were great. Yeah, I did. I went and dug out my old Star Wars stuff again, and it was like my old Micro Machines play sets and just the stuff from Gloob. Gloob doesn't even exist anymore. Like, you know, it made me feel like a kid again, you know. And it made me want to share my Star Wars stuff from when I was a kid with my son, you know, who's now 6. And he's getting to where he loves Star Wars, you know? And so I guess they were at the park the other day. Kirsty had him at the park, and he had a stick out, and she said he was like straight Jedi Knighting that stick with a lightsaber.
That's awesome.
She's like, he was nailing it. And I was like, that makes me feel good, you know? That just, I love it.
And you know what? That's what Star Wars should
That's what
be.
it's about.
And you know, yeah, because even George Lucas said Star Wars was meant to be told from the vantage point of originally of a 12 to 14-year-old boy, but then he said but eventually became a 12 to 14-year-old kid. Yeah. And you know what? Yes, I love that stuff about Star Wars.
I love it.
But also there's also a place for Andor and Rogue One where you can get the gritty stuff. And so when they do it right, and I said, and you know what? Yes, I agree with you. Solo, completely underrated movie. The backlash it received they were even before the whole
reshoot thing,
quote unquote. I was going to say, well, yeah, the whole reshoot. There was drama behind that even before The Last Jedi came out.
Yeah.
And I was just like, just push it back a year into December instead of May. Give it time to breathe.
Yeah.
And it didn't get that chance. But yeah, I think Solo is a vastly underrated movie. Alden Ehrenreich did nail Han.
He did.
People were just mad that, you know,
it wasn't Harrison Ford. Yeah,
it wasn't Harrison Ford. But yeah, it just I like being the grumpy old Jedi. I just don't like the negativity in the
Yeah,
world.
no, I get it. I totally get it. So, but yeah, those are some of our favorite arcs, some of our favorite stories. Let us know. What do you guys think? What are some of your favorite story arcs from Star Wars? Drop them down below. We'd love to read through some of them and see if we have some common ground somewhere. That's the whole point of this, right? Is to see where we have common ground at instead of, fighting each other and talking about how Acolyte actually sucks. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It was a joke, JG. Nothing but love. I promise. I'm just kidding. Fourth question this week. Thanks for sending in the question, Tim. Do appreciate it. The fourth question this week, final question, comes from Maisie Wilkinson. And Maisie writes in and says, "Hi, Brian and crew. I wanted to tell you I absolutely love your show and can't believe I've never found it before. I really liked it the last couple of episodes when you discussed what ifs in Star Wars. So here's one for you. What if Padme hadn't died during childbirth? How do you think that would have altered the timeline? I think you and your crew are awesome ambassadors for the franchise. I got my celebration ticket, so hopefully I'll run into all of you in LA." Thanks for the question, Maisie. You might run into me and JG. Just saying. Yeah, so every episode so far, we've had a really good what if question since we've been back. And JG seems to be the brains behind a lot of these what ifs. So I'm going to go straight to JG. I'm sure Nick's okay with that too. JG, what is your what if? How do you see this going down if Padme did not die of a broken heart in childbirth?
Padme does not die of a broken heart, and I guess everything else kind of plays out very similar to the same. I think she goes and hides on Naboo to raise her twins. I think, it is not a place for her right now to be, especially if she has kids and she has twins. I think she is going to take, like, versus that other hypothetical that we ran and such, where maybe she would be, like, become chancellor and all that such. I think her priority becomes raising Luke and Leia, and I think no other place, like, that's where she went to hide during Attack of the Clones. I think she goes to the family retreat at Naboo. And I think maybe Obi-Wan goes. Maybe Obi-Wan, instead of watching over Luke, towards her. Because where's Obi-Wan gonna go at this point?
Yeah.
But I think he would still feel like he needs to protect her, protect them.
Yeah, because she would need protection. Because Vader would be hunting her down. He would be trying to find Padme.
Because I think Palpatine would still say you killed.
You think so?
Yeah.
In all intents and purposes, he does kill her, but really, it's not really
Right,
Anakin
right.
that kills her. And Palpatine lies about that. I think Palpatine's for sure still going to say you killed her.
Yeah.
Even more so now.
Yeah, but if she's not actually dead, though, I think he said that because he knew she was dead. And I think because if he were to tell Vader, you killed her, and all that, and then Vader goes, let's say 5 or 6 years thinking Padme's dead, and then he goes to try to look for a tomb, which we know he does in canon, no tomb. Yeah. Or, like, maybe he finds out she's alive. What does he go say to Palpatine? I mean, like, how does that go down then?
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time Vader's tried to turn on Palpatine prematurely. And
it wouldn't be.
That could also affect that and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it would go well for Vader, as we've seen.
I don't see her going to the family retreat. I don't see her going to Naboo at all. I see her going to Alderaan. I see Bail taking Padme.
That's not great.
Well, I know that. I understand
that.
Like that. I understand that, but a lot can happen in 18 years. I'm just saying. That doesn't mean she stays there for 18 years. Gosh, we thought Obi-Wan was on Tatooine the whole time, but he wasn't.
Fair.
Just because we remember when we all thought Jar Jar was on Alderaan, we were like hoping and praying that Jar Jar was on Alderaan. And I was like, and then they made him a street clown on Naboo, and I was like, yeah, take that. You goofy bastard. Aww. I can't stand it. No.
What did he do to you?
What did he do to me? I'll tell you what he did. I don't want to talk about it.
So I was 17 when episode 1 came out, and I loved Jar Jar Binks.
What is wrong with you?
So I just want.
Did you try to join the Marines before you joined the Army? Because that tracks.
No.
Okay. I was just making sure. I'm just giving you crap. It's crap on Nick Knight again.
Alderon's not a bad call, though.
I think
say Alderaan. It's Alderaan or Naboo.
Yeah, it's one or the other. It's definitely, but I think because at that point Padme knew Palpatine was the Sith Lord. I don't know if she would go back to his homeworld. I don't know if she would go back to Naboo. I see her going to Alderaan. What do you got?
You know what I just thought that just reminded me that in the Queen's trilogy, we know that I think it's Sabe or one of the handmaids, like and even Shmi, like the big thing is like about freeing the slaves and stuff.
Yes. Yes.
I wonder if Padme
Oh.
would want to get involved with that.
That's a
Like,
good
obviously,
point, too.
After the twins get older, of course,
Right.
Because I don't think she's gonna like abandon them until at least they're older than toddlers and stuff.
So it's kind of funny. We're talking about this, and Luke and Leia both end up on Alderaan, and they both end up on Tatooine at some point. Isn't that hilarious? I mean, it's still,
Right?
but that's a good point too, because you're right. Sabe did go try to free the slaves on
Yeah.
Tatooine. That's what she was doing behind the scenes while Padme was doing her other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I see her going to Alderaan first. I see Bail taking her into hiding.
Mhm.
I see Yoda still going into
Yeah.
exile on Dagobah.
Mhm.
Because he hid there simply because of the dark side presence of the planet, and that's why he hid there. Obi-Wan, there's no reason for Obi-Wan to go to Tatooine if Luke ain't there.
Maybe he goes to Dagobah with Luke.
Oh,
Or no,
with
no,
with
oh,
Yoda.
Yeah.
He could, yeah. Unless he stays with Padme to protect her,
Yeah,
because maybe
kind of,
he's
yeah.
like, maybe he realizes. Of course, Obi-Wan thought Vader was dead. Remember,
Yes.
so maybe he doesn't think Padme needs protection from Vader
Yeah.
or something like that, you know. But maybe from the Emperor. Maybe he thinks she needs protection from the Emperor because there's offspring involved now with Anakin and everything.
Yeah.
Because Obi-Wan even tells Luke, the Emperor knew, as I did, that if Anakin were to have any offspring, they would be a threat to him. And so maybe
Yep.
he does go and protect her just to protect both kids, I don't know. Because then if Obi-Wan is there, right? And then let's say things play out like normal. Bail doesn't have to send Leia to Tatooine to find Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
And they may all go join the rebellion on Yavin before Alderaan even gets blown up. Luke ends up joining the rebellion anyway. Leia probably ends up in charge of the rebellion anyway because of Bail. It's just Padme is there to watch her kids basically carry on what they started with the delegation of 2000.
And basically, then at that point, well, I guess Alderaan would still
Get destroyed,
blown up.
probably, yeah.
Yeah. 'cause
Well, maybe
Leia
unless
still
Leia doesn't get captured. The only reason
Unless- if
Alderaan
Leia
got
doesn't get-
destroyed was because Leia was the one that they
Captured,
captured.
yeah. Yeah.
So if Leia never gets
Yeah.
captured, then
A whole
Alderaan...
planet
All
survives if Padme lives.
because Leia's ship wasn't fast enough. All because the Tantive had some problems and they couldn't get it to work right. Isn't that wild? That's just crazy, like how just one little thing can change everything. It's fun to think about. It's fun to think about the what if stuff.
Butterfly effect.
I still think Vader and Palpatine end up doing all the same crap that they've always done.
Yeah.
Maybe Padme fakes her death, and then
I think
I,
that still
so
plays out.
I was gonna say that's actually what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. I think Padme
but
fakes her death. No. So I've been silent, but
No, you're good.
because I was reading the question. I was reading the question, and I was thinking about it's like, you know what? I think this is what happens. I think Padme fakes her death. She's because remember in the funeral procession at the end of Revenge of
she
the
had the
Sith,
fake belly, the fake baby bump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they assume, so it was assumed that Padme died along with the twins.
Right.
So I think she fakes her death so she's not being looked for. And then honestly, I still
I
think
have a
the
rebuttal.
twins get split up.
I have a rebuttal. I don't. I
still-
think they all stay
No,
together.
not-
I
not
no,
as
I
Mom's alive.
no.
But
No,
Here's-
I do. No,
here's the deal.
Here's why. I think Padme eventually. I don't think she goes to Alderaan, but I think she's under the protection of Bail Organa, of some way, and then maybe even Mon Mothma, and they find a world that they can both, s- go to
Right.
without raising suspicion. And
Dagobah.
I think
Everybody goes
I
and hides on
think-
Dagobah.
And then I think Obi-Wan takes Luke and then
Trains
either
him.
takes him to Tatooine or maybe even goes to Dagobah so they can train him properly.
So here's my rebuttal to that. If Padme faked her death,
Okay.
if Padme faked her death, right, and there's a whole tomb the same way there is in canon of Padme and everything, and let's say that Padme is under the protection of Bail Organa, who is putting together the Rebel Alliance with Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera. As Luke and Leia get older, Leia's going to take a leadership role in it the same way she does in canon at like 16. Luke's going to want to be a fighter pilot. That's in his blood. He's going to want to be a fighter.
Yeah.
And I still see him somehow being exposed to Vader and Vader finding out about the Skywalker name. And
Yeah.
then he goes to Padme's tomb, the same way he does in canon, and
Mhm.
finds that Padme is still alive, that Padme just faked her death completely, or she's not even buried where
Mhm.
they said she is. And so I think that puts Vader even earlier on his obsessive hunt for Skywalker instead of after episode 4. I think it's before that. I think he starts hunting him down even more. And I don't know. There's so much. It could go so many different ways. But I definitely agree with Obi-Wan training the twins. But he's not training just one. He's training them both. I guarantee he's training them both.
Yeah.
And then maybe, Luke's got a dark streak, right? He does. Whether you guys want to admit it or not, Luke has a dark streak.
He does.
It came out in Return of the Jedi when he was fighting because of Leia, right? What if Luke ends up going down that dark path again because maybe Leia's doing better in the Force than he is, and Luke starts to tap into the dark side, and then all of a sudden Obi-Wan's like, I'm not doing this again, and then so you get this weird, there's this, Jedi that's like Luke that's like trying to not be dark side, but he can't help it because of what his father is. And maybe they pick up on that somewhere and they're like, hey, we sense something. Maybe the Inquisitors come after him. I don't know. Maybe Luke becomes an Inquisitor. That's how I see all this ending, is Luke becoming an Inquisitor. I'm just going to say that. I have no idea how it would end. I have no idea how it would end. But it's really fun to think about. It's fun to sit here and go through how it would go. So what do you guys think? What would happen if Padme never died? Drop it below. I would love to read those. I'd love to read those theories.
And you know what? Since we're talking about Padme, what if Padme doesn't die? And everybody's talking about, oh, Padme died of a broken heart.
Mm-hmm.
The irony is, and people are like, oh, that's such a horrible way to kill her and everything. That's so untrue. No, that go read up. There are people who actually
their hearts have shut down over that.
Yeah, when their loved ones die. Like my grandfather passed away 2 weeks after my grandmother passed away.
And that happens a lot.
From a broken heart.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Especially when people have been together as long as your grandparents probably were. I mean, my great-grandparents, I remember on their 75th wedding anniversary, they got a letter from the White House.
Oh, wow.
75 years.
Oh, wow.
Or I'm sorry. That's not right. 70 years. Sorry, on their 70th wedding anniversary, they got a letter from the White House. And then I remember my grandmother died at 89, and then my grandfather made it 3 more years, and he died at 93. It was my great-grandparents. But they were together since they were in their teens. That's all they knew, and I'll never forget I'll never forget looking at my great grandfather sitting in his chair, just bawling his eyes out, just crying that he lost his angel, and I'm not trying to relate that to Star Wars, because it could be related. That's actually what he said. He's like, I've lost my angel. And it was just,
Are you an angel?
Oh yeah, I know. I knew you were going to say that. So, but no, that's what he said. And I remember thinking, man, they were together. I can't even comprehend that amount of time. I haven't even been alive half of what they were married so far, And so maybe Anakin and Padme were just that much in love with each other. I mean, war brings people together, right? I mean, going through things together, people can have different connections. I don't know. I still don't buy the whole broken heart thing, because she should have seen the red flags with the sand people. I'm just saying that was like if I went and told my wife I just slaughtered a village and all the women and the children too, I'm pretty sure she would try to draw up some divorce papers at a minimum. Just saying, it wouldn't be like, oh, Anakin, I love you. It would be like, you need to go see somebody about that. So I don't know. It's fun to think about all these what ifs and everything. I don't know. Let us know. What do you guys think? So I think that's going to do it for our episode. We went 2 hours. I think we went a half hour longer than I had planned on going. But I think it was a good episode. Thanks for joining me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the success for the last couple of episodes we've had. I keep saying it, but it seriously, it means the world to us that you guys care enough to tune in. Even, and honestly, I was like, if it's going to happen twice, the second one's not going to have as many views as the first one did. Well, there's going to be a fall off. But you guys did more views on the second one than the first one, which is just unreal to us. And it's just hard to wrap our heads around that you guys care to sit here for 2 hours and just listen to 3 guys that just happen to know some stuff about Star Wars, just sit here and BS for 2 hours. So thank you guys for making this actually, it's always been worth my time, but actually making me like even more motivated to come in here and sit down and put some effort into the editing and to get an episode out on time and everything. So thank you guys so much for putting that spark back into this hobby for me, really is what I'm saying. So definitely appreciate it. Make sure to go check out our website, starwarscanon.net. You can find this podcast there, the video version and the audio version. You can find timelines for Legends and Canon. You can find the spot. There's a big blue button at the top. You can click that says submit a mailbag question. If you want a question on the podcast, you can click that and get right to the submission page. There's some upcoming novels on there. I'm working on an upcoming Canon page that has a list of everything coming out each week as it comes out, comics, novels, everything. So you guys can go there and know when something is coming out so you don't miss an issue on anything. Guys, am I forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
I don't think I'm forgetting anything either. I
Nope.
can't think of a single thing I've ever forgotten, though. So I'm not sure if that's a good sign or not. Thank you guys for joining us this week. We will see you guys next week. And until then, may the force be with you.